here and look awkward. I'm good.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to another show of The Author's Dilemma. It is Thursday night, and we're so excited to have you here. Tonight we have a special guest, Mr. William Burkhart, and we're going to get into his story, and he's going to tell us about his journey into the writing process and tell us about his books. I am J.E. Jack. I write urban fantasy, horror, and paranormal thrillers.
I'm Hyrum Hawks. I write hard sci-fi and sci-fantasy.
I'm Jennifer Carr. I write clean contemporary romance and Christian romantic suspense.
And our guest.
Go.
It's your turn.
What do you write?
William J. Burkhart. I write horror, fantasy, comedy, mostly horror. Everything kind of always circles back to that. So.
All right. Awesome.
Nice.
So, like I said, tonight we're going to get in that. But first, let's talk about the news this week.
I've got a big one. Okay.
He's already told me it'll make me mad, so I'll just try to be nice.
Well, at
Yes.
first, 1 second. Let me just reiterate. I know some of y'all have been watching the show on our page, on Facebook page, but we're having technical difficulties with that. So please forgive us. Eventually, we will get back on that. I've been dealing with it today, trying to, like, on our TAD, the Author's Dilemma profile, it's showing, but that's all 7 people. We created that to create the group or the page, and we can't. So anyway, we'll get that remedied. And but anyway, we appreciate you being here. And then also, if you're watching, be sure to use the comments to ask a question. And if you're listening into the future, be sure to reach out to us on our Gmail. Apologies. authorsdilemma@gmail.com. Okay, now for the news.
Okay. Here we go. Everybody keep a level head and just breathe for a moment. So,
Hiram.
and he may already kind of know about this. I don't know, because I kind of threw it out there in the Discord. But Draft to Digital is an online self-publishing platform. Okay. And I do believe they do print on demand. It's kind of like Ingram Spark. It's a different alternative kind of thing.
It's a different flavor.
Yes, a different flavor. And they sent out a survey to their users this week. And I'm just going to kind of read to you the intro to the letter that they sent with their survey. It says, as you may have read, artificial intelligence, AI, developers are starting to approach book publishers seeking to license books for the purpose of training large language models. Books are prized for LLM training due to their long-form narrative structures, which can be used to develop natural language processing. And a few book publishers already have AI training rights deals in place. That I did not know, and now it makes me want to go figure out who has them in place, because I never really thought to look at that. AI training rights are poised to become another source of income for authors, yet so far indie authors have not been part of the conversation. We know AI can be a sensitive topic, which is precisely why we want to hear from you. And basically it goes on, they want to know if they can start scraping their authors, the authors that submit their books to their platform, for this LLM training. So, ready, go.
No.
Well, I'm glad they asked.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, I will throw out one thing. I don't think that people realize just how close we are to the AI apocalypse. And I'm not talking about the end of the world. I'm talking about the end of AI. Because they're scraping this stuff and people are using it to make things and then they're putting it out there as their own, AI is actually becoming inbred very quickly. That is the technical term. And it's going to self-destruct.
Well, you're absolutely right. It's kind of like a facsimile, right? If you have your original copy and you put it on a fax or a copy machine, and you take that and then you copy that, well, eventually it's going to degrade into horror. And honestly, and we even see it, like you go into a magazine, or, on my Facebook, I keep on getting the shock and awe news articles, and you go to the news articles and you can obviously tell it's written by crap AI. And it's
going to get scraped and it's going to get used.
But going back to how, I just wondered how they're compensating authors.
That's what I want to know too. That was something that I was like, oh, how are authors earning from this unless there are other companies who are paying traditionally published authors or something? Okay.
They're doing the same thing. They being ACX and all the other book narration companies. They are trying, because there was an agreement with the Actors Guild. They're trying to all get all that incorporated so that actors and narrators can put out samples that then they can get compensated, and it's got a little more nuance to it, but basically they won't have to work and they'll get paid for their voice. Now that's nice, and they'll get paid every time, but at the same time, a lot of the narrators are like, but I do this because I enjoy it. If I just wanted a 9 to 5 and just get paid, yeah, I could do that, but I want to do art. And so there's a lot to it. And I think that's what it fundamentally comes down to. I don't want my stuff being used by AI. I know how the sausage is made.
Yeah. Interesting.
William, what do you think?
Yeah, at this point, it feels like Stanley Kubrick is like creating our reality. It's just, I almost don't know what to say. I can't imagine somebody do it. I don't know. I really don't even know how to put it into words. Just I'm friends with narrators and I'm very close with them. And like, it's already hard enough.
Right.
Like
well, that's kind of like writing is hard enough too. And then you come up, then you have, and here again, there's a difference between being felonious about it and using AI to help, right? Like, yeah. I think.
Right.
Like I use Pro Writing Aid. I think that's a great use of AI to help you figure out if what you're writing is grammatically
correct. As long as you use your brain too, because that is wrong a lot, or it strips out your voice.
Right.
That's true too.
Yeah, it's not doing the work for you.
Right. It's not generative AI, which is where we are. Okay, so I clicked on the survey. I hadn't actually taken the survey because I don't use draft to digital.
Oh, we're going to do it right now. Let's go.
Here we go. So it says, common uses for the language learning models include powering personal productivity applications such as chatbots, etc. Some early compensation models for news publishers suggest the equivalent of about $100 per license for LLM training rights for a 75,000 word novel, which works out to a little over 1/10 of a cent per word. So they would pay you to use your work to train these models.
Yeah, maybe I might consider it for $100,000, maybe.
Okay, well, when you put it that way.
Well, see, if
they're paying me as a ghostwriter, this is like where I see it starting to be valid is if I'm being paid essentially as a ghostwriter, that they can own my book, they can own it, because otherwise that's everyone has a price point.
So that's true. How what are you willing to sell your soul for? I guess. I mean, I'm not saying your soul, but really, I mean, there comes to a point to it where it's like, what is your price? And Jen, you said it was $100.
Yeah, it was.
That's not enough.
100,000.
Needs more zeros. A lot more zeros.
$100 per license. So anyway.
Kirsten Lacey Ellis says, "I like this insight. I agree with a lot of these points."
Yay.
Well, thank you.
Hey, Kirsten.
Kirsten.
She's my buddy.
All right.
But we could ramble on this for hours.
I know. I just thought that was a very interesting thing. So.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, it sounds like a book.
I will. One thing I want to throw out there. I want the author community to be aware of this. If the author community is aware of this one thing, in art, there is actually a program University of Chicago has been putting out. I'm trying to remember what it's called. I haven't looked at it in a while, but it is an anti-AI weapon. And I don't mean that as a joke. I mean that literally. It is a way you use this program, and it will embed into the art, into the files, things that, in a way that I do not comprehend because I'm not a computer scientist, poisons AI models, and it ruins the training. And so artists, I've been encouraging like my book illustrator to do that. But also, I think we're going to get to the point where we can start poisoning our own books with metadata, with even just an appendix that is like a chapter of nonsense at the end that is not to be read and is not to be actually part of it, but it's just there as basically, how you made your if you put in the white font, it would make your text have more words. like that, but I'm sure we're going to get to the point where this is active warfare, where we're
I'm not sure.
actually fighting to kill AI.
Well, I mean, I read
Very diabolical. Yeah.
Well, I heard that like ChatGPT had like a program where they could actually identify what has been made with ChatGPT, but they're not going to release it because too many people would get in trouble.
Interesting. I mean, that's a valid theory.
They can't.
I do have another suggestion that kind of goes along with that, and I have a whole blog post on it over on my blog. Not to toot my own horn, but I did an interview.
She has a blog.
I do have a blog, but I also have another podcast that last season I interviewed a man he's a Web3 expert, which Web3 has a lot to do with cryptocurrency and that kind of thing, which is a whole rabbit hole in and of itself. Love it. It's fantastic. I know. But let me tell you, you can actually put, connect your work, your art, and that's what we talked about is how artists could benefit from Web3 by inserting these digital tags on your work so that one, it can't be pirated because it's constantly tracked, and you're getting paid every time somebody sells your work or parts with your work or sends it on its way. So anyway, I have a whole blog post about it. I'll stick it in the show notes. It's very cool. It's a great way to keep your arts from getting pirated, but also a way to keep tabs on your work so that AI can't take it, or if it does, you'll get paid for it.
Man, could you imagine if you did that with books? Like, hey, where's my books today? Oh, they're here.
Well, that's what it's for. Like, you could connect it to your ebook. You would embed it in your ebook, and so that you would earn royalties. And anyway, that's a whole nother ballgame. But yeah, it's pretty fantastic. Yeah.
So here's a question.
Ooh.
Kirsten Lacey Ellis asks, so within seeing book covers, how could we distinguish if they are AI?
That's a pickle.
A moving target. It's a moving target. We can't always tell. Even just a few months ago, we could tell because they tended to be disturbing. But they're, especially now that Grok,
the hands,
the hands were the worst of it. But Grok is doing a lot better, which is the
hands.
best name.
Yeah.
Grok is to the point where you can barely distinguish with your eyeballs. But in general, if it seems too good to be true, it often is.
And also something, I've contracted out for book covers, and it's in at least with the graphic designer that I used, it's in the contract to tell people. Well, no, not only do they avoid it, but also in the credits, like, hey, I used them for my book cover, in like underneath my copyright. How you do your editor, you have your graphic designer. This is who I used, and so that's another way to kind of combat that. I mean, like if I go into a book and I don't see that, well, then that's pretty suspect. Like, okay, well, either they did it themselves, which would probably include AI, because it's really hard to write a book and be a really talented artist. I don't know. I haven't. Anyway, I don't know. That's a really good question. I'll have to research that.
I think you could probably do a lot of reverse image searching as well if you were really interested in figuring it out. I'm not saying that it's good or bad, because I see where they're coming from. Yes, there are a lot of controversial issues, especially with traditionally published books and that kind of thing. And it's such a pickle, because you can't guarantee that your graphic designer is not using AI to generate whatever, and so that's a whole nother can of worms. So you kind of have to stop judging books by its cover, and that's hard. I get it, but you have to go for I trust this author or whatever. Ooh.
So for those of you that are listening in the future, Jen already pretty much answered this, but Kirsten asks, I know there's a lot of controversy on a few traditional books regarding the covers if they are AI. I'm definitely a cover shopper, so I always want to make sure I'm supporting originality. And I mean, we're all consumers, so we try to be smart consumers. But see, even doing like reverse image searches, like I know that with mine, they take photos from deposit photo places, and then they make it look completely different. So I don't know. That's really I
mean, because stock photo is what's on my book covers, right? It's stock photos that I have paid to license, right? I can license them up to like 5,000 times it can be printed or whatever. So I've paid for that. It's still not my image, right? And I've done the things that I'm allowed to do to it. So it is such a can of worms for sure.
It's a brave new world.
It is.
So, all right. I think we beat that horse pretty much dead.
But thanks for hanging out with us and talking about it.
Yeah. And Lord knows probably talking about that topic quite a bit in the as time comes. So let's talk about our guest tonight.
It's not going anywhere.
No, definitely not. So Bill, man, first off, I just want to appreciate you taking time out of your schedule and come joining us. Jen, were you the one that come across? All right.
Yes, he's one of my Facebook friends. That's I cannot remember exactly when we connected, but it was through Facebook, and I was like, hey, and he was watching and listening to the podcast beforehand, and I was like, come on, let's have a conversation. So I met with Bill and we talked, and I was like, this guy's so uplifting and encouraging, and he just has so many positive things, even when we're looking at whatever the author's dilemma might be of the day, the flavor of the day or whatever. And I was like, we're gonna have a conversation. So this is Bill.
That's very nice. Thank you, Jen.
Absolutely.
So Bill, tell us, how did you get involved? Tell us about yourself. You were born, you were raised. No, but seriously, just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then then kind of segue into how did you start writing?
So I am 42 from the mysterious land of southern New Jersey. I think I started writing when I was probably around in first grade, just small stuff when you're 6 or 7. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of got around that time I started playing piano, and then kind of all the the 3rd and 4th grade, the trumpets and all that stuff. And I was really, really into music for a long time. Sorry, this headphone just falling out. I was really, really big into that. Started playing drums, piano, guitar. I really was 99% sure that I was going to be, or at least I would try to do something with that up until I was about 30. And then it was like, I'm kind of tired of doing this. It becomes harder to do artistic projects with multiple people, which is why writing's kind of perfect. It's it's just me. And then throughout school and stuff, I had always just kind of I wasn't focused on it, but it was always kind of on the back of the stove. And then just started writing fan fiction when I was 29, 30. And I was like, I kind of had a chapter, and then I had half a book, and then it's I finished a book, and then, I checked into publishing. 2014 was when I was first published. So yeah, God, it's been 10 years already. And ever since I held my first copy in my hand, it was I know it sounds kind of cliche, but something came on, and it was I'm pretty sure this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then 2016 second book, and then I kind of fell off for a while. I had my second child. I have 2 children, 10 and 5. So speaking of things that make writing hard, having 2 kids constantly bother me, which I wouldn't have it any other way, but it's tough. But and then
no, as I say,
and then around and then around 2019, after I kind of had after you write your second one, I feel that's a weird phase. When you write your first one, it's exciting, it's new, everyone's oh my God, you're an author, but part 2 and part 3 aren't always as enticing, so I kind of had a fall off from 2016 to about 2019. Again, I was still kind of just playing around with it, and then I was I just got to get back into this. And then from 2019 to now, I did 3 more books, 3 audiobooks. And I'm not taking the foot off of the gas. I just want to keep
Mm-hmm. So up until 30, you're a musician or
Yeah, I started a little rock band with my friends in high school, and we actually did 2 albums. And this is when you had to actually take all your stuff to a studio, and it wasn't just like today where it's like, oh, you have everything at home. So for being 16, I mean, it was kind of a lot, but at that point I was like, man, I think I'm really serious about this. But just yeah, I don't know, it just wore off after a while. I don't know if it's having other people around me all the time, or loud noise, or a combination of the two. But I feel bad because I do still talk to the two guys who I've been playing with since I was 14, and they're always like, oh, we should hang out. And I don't know how to tell them, like, I'm kind of through with this. Like, it's heartbreaking, kind of, but it'll always still be there. But I can't I just feel like if I start getting back into that, it's going to take away from the author thing. And I do believe it is in my best interest to focus on this.
So you bring up an interesting thought. Like, you started in 2014, and man, that was like, there was a lot of things have changed since then, and things have gotten easier.
Yeah.
So when you first started, did you like buy in bulk and sell them yourself, or did they even have print on demand? I mean, it was like really new at the time. Like,
yeah, unfortunately, at that point, maybe I didn't do enough research, but it was pretty much either send it to, like an agent, which they're not going to accept what I had at that point. So I kind of got suckered into the hybrid. I know people that are happy with hybrid publishing and, vanity publishing. I kind of fell into the trap of it. And, so I paid like $700 to have my first one printed. But, they made it like available in paperback, and not a lot, but so yeah, it was like $700 for the first one and about the same price for the second one. It wasn't until, I had come back that I kind of found it's like, wow, I don't have to actually pay someone, hundreds of dollars to have this published. It has come a long way. I don't know if print on demand actually was a thing back then. It might have been, but I kind of fell into the hybrid thing just out of, sad to say, just I didn't have the experience, I didn't have the knowledge. So yeah, I went hybrid for the first two.
Like, did you go vanity or did you go hybrid? Because I think there's a difference between those two.
Yeah, I still had the rights to the book. So as far as I know, I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's plenty of stuff I don't know, but I still had the rights to the book.
Hey, we don't either.
My understanding.
That's why we're here. We're all here to learn and to share the potholes for the rest person so they can avoid them.
Because when I actually first started, well, not when I first, when I had kind of had like the resurgence, I actually almost fell into the straight up vanity. They sent me something saying, this is like, blah, blah, blah. It's so awesome. Da, 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 da. They made it seem like I was getting a legitimate contract until I was like, wait, they want me to pay. So I was like, had my pen on the line about to sign. It's like, and I'm not going to have the rights. So I got very close to that. And that's one thing I try to steer people away from. It's like, it's just, you can't, like, these people will take your money and you're not going to get what you think you're paying for. And it's unfortunate. I mean,
a lot of people don't even get their money back, or they don't get compensated at all. Like no ROI, no nothing. Okay.
Yeah,
so tell us about your books.
Okay. So the first two, which, they're kind of like the stepchildren I have chained up in the attic at this point. I don't really, promote them, but they're kind of like spin-offs. I just call them fan fiction because I was kind of like, wouldn't it be cool if there was like a version of, like the Alice in Wonderland type thing, but it was like, scary on purpose, and that just turned into two small books. But again, I don't really push them anymore because they're very poorly written and I didn't edit them properly. The next book after that is called A Third of Infinity. This was actually The only thing I've ever constructed with having it, like specifically having it turned into like the audio format. It's a first person telling of a fallen angel who's just kind of telling like what happened with the fall of heaven and the creation of earth. And it's comedy slash horror. And I got this English guy. He completely just smashed it out of the park. And that's actually for free up on YouTube. It's called A Third of Infinity. The next book I did after that was one called The Anteater King. It's actually the little poster behind me. There's
technical difficulty.
Sorry. There's a cat and a mouse in South America. Their village gets torn up, and there's this thing that's coming to South America and kind of consuming everything. So they get forced into surviving in the jungle for a while. When I wrote that, it was like right after I had read Watership Down for the first time. And,
that's what I was about to say. I was like, that sounds like,
yes. I was like, I would love to write something where, the characters are cute and cuddly, but it's going to like permanently scar the person who's reading it. And that for some reason has been my most successful. I say that it's I don't sell a ton of books, but that has definitely resonated the best with a lot of people. And the one I published after that, it was one called Priori. It's very similar to the movie The Thing. A bunch of people go, like scientists, and they go to the North Pole to reopen this old, like an excavation, and they find horrible things, and it's very sci-fi horror type thing. So yeah, I'm kind of all over the place with my genres. I got this and that and fantasy. So I'm not the kind of person who and I'm not poo-pooing someone who writes in a series, but I'm just all over the place.
No,
with
I am as well,
genres.
because I write I write standalone books. I'm
Yeah,
just like life. I'm a dabbler in a lot of different things, and for me, when it comes to writing books, it's very okay. Now I'm done. I want something completely different. I want to explore some other stories, some other worlds, some other characters, and which doesn't do very well when people want to read the same stuff moving forward.
Yeah.
But so let's see. So how many books? I mean, how many books have you written? If you don't mind me asking.
Five,
okay.
And 3 audiobooks.
And so tell us about your process. Like, how long does it usually, like, do you write daily? Do you write, like when I'm in a project, I try to write 500 words a day. Hyrum, he binges, he doesn't write, all week, and then he'll do like, 6,000 on one day, sitting. I envy that. Oh, and then also another question I have to follow up that is, do you plan these out? Are you a pantser? So tell us about your process.
Yeah, I kind of envy people who do the pantser thing. It's just that's how I kind of wrote my first 2. And that's just not for me now. I'm a planner. I have like an outline, like, okay, chapter 1, this is what's going to happen. Yeah, I'm fortunate that I have a lot of stuff constantly on the back burner. I constantly have something else where if I'm on something and I get tired of it, the worst thing that you can do, I mean, for me at least, is to try to force myself to finish something. I mean, obviously, if I'm being paid for something and it's like, hey, I need this by so and so time, that's another story. But just as far as the creative process goes, if I force myself to write something, it's not going to turn out the way I want it. I'm going to have to edit it a lot. I'm going to have to go back and fix stuff. So I'm constantly switching between projects, just depending on what I'm what I'm feeling at the time. I mean, I have things I haven't touched for 2 years that, I could pick up tomorrow and, put down 10,000 to 20,000 words in a week.
Hmm.
As far
Well,
as my actual process itself, it's very hard for me to sit down and just write a lot. I'm so used to having a 5-year-old come up to me and, a 10-year-old come up to me. So I write in spats, like, and I'll also write on my phone because I don't know if this happens to anybody else, but the most things tend to come to me when I'm not in front of the manuscript, which is honestly kind of a little infuriating at times because it's like,
mhm.
why am I not home? Why am I not? But um, as far as coming up with things, I don't really know how it works. I just a tiny little piece or even a character, just creating a character.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of times you create that character and the story just kind of creates itself. It's like, I know what this guy is. I know what he likes. I know what he feels, what he wants
You
in
know,
life.
that's
So
an
that can,
interesting topic. Like, some people they create the character first, and then the story
yep,
comes out, and then other
yep,
people they create the story first, and then the characters come out.
yeah,
And so I've always found that interesting. I think for me, since I'm a pantser, it just kind of organically happens together. Like, I have an
yeah. I
idea
mean,
and I'm going
whatever
for,
works.
yeah. But Hiram, he was a pantser, but now he's moving more into
I'm
the
experimenting.
yes, yes.
It feels dirty. I mean,
He's
it's kind
spilling
of,
his wild oats.
I am. I tried.
Whatever
I'm
works,
doing
man.
a borderline. It's planting, but it's like I'm planning very vaguely. Like I made a
Yeah,
3-act outline with like bullet points, and then I made
yeah,
chapter summaries that were basically like 4 bullets per chapter, and then I wrote the first
yeah,
12 chapters, and then had to rewrite the rest of the outline because I'd done the pantsing part. I went through the first 12,
right.
was mostly on task, but then deviated more and more each chapter, and it's a different book now, and it's a better book.
Yeah. Well,
But
something always ends up coming up like, oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah, like, oh, that
That's
person
funny.
needs to die at
I've,
the end, or
I,
that person new character.
yeah.
Interesting.
I saw your name, Hiram, and I'm like, where do I know this name from? I think I'm actually reading like or like I have the audio of the Iranian comet thing. Is
Yes,
that yours?
the
The
Persian
Iranian.
asteroid. Yeah,
You were so
I'm like,
close.
yeah. I'm sorry. I'm like, where do I know this name from? Hi, yeah. I'm like a quarter of the way through it, man. It's good.
Oh, that's awesome.
yes.
Good.
That's awesome.
I'm like, where do I know this guy? Where do I know this guy?
Well, I'm the only Hyrum
Wow.
Hawks you'll ever find. Because
Yeah.
Clearly, yeah.
I stole the
I'm
name
like,
from my
where do I
ancestor.
know this name?
That's awesome.
Well,
So
he's not going to use it.
Oh, I do have a
anymore,
tip.
Yeah.
I do have a tip for you on that whole frustration. If you write on your phone a lot, invest the $40 in a foldable Bluetooth keyboard. They fit in your pocket. You can get the ones that are kind of armored. And for $40, I've got Bluetooth keyboard that I'll just carry with me. And then if I'm sitting somewhere, I can just pull it out and I can actually type, which I hate. I am a true elder millennial because I cannot write on my phone that fast.
I thought, speaking of
Yeah.
mobile devices, I've been taking a look at those, like the fold phones. Like Google.
Those aren't worth it.
They're, okay. All right, I'll take your word for it.
They wear out fast. Anything with moving parts, especially electronics, they wear out way too fast.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That does make sense. I don't know though. I had that Razor phone that I had for a really long time. Like
Yeah, but that
was
wasn't a
one of my
folded
first phones.
screen.
Yeah, that was like
A folded phone
Yeah.
is different than a folded screen.
That's probably
yeah, but we're such a throwaway society that if it breaks, we'll just gotta get a new one.
That's right. It's free on your contract.
Yeah, I mean,
your contract.
Yeah.
Well, just because you're
But
paying
anyway.
$1,000 over there.
Right.
like,
Yeah.
I mean-
Well, that's not for us, but someone out there.
That's right.
So,
That's funny.
all right. So, William, what advice do you have for others getting into this trade? Like, what are your thoughts on helping other folks? Like, what advice do you have for someone? Or if you could go back to when you first started, what would you tell yourself?
Oh man, it's kind of like something that you hear stand-up comics say a lot. Like, if you're not going to put 100% into this, like if you're kind of like, oh, I would like to be an author, but or like it would be cool to write a book. You got to put 100% into it. It's just it's something that you have to completely pour yourself into, because like I said, when I was writing a long time ago, and I had I was playing drums with someone at the same time. I was kind of dividing the creative process, the creative flow, and it affected one affected the other. Aside from that, it is a labor of love. Again, very cliche, but if you're in this to become the next big thing, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't want to be the next big thing, but if you're going to do like 1 or 2 novels and be like, how come I don't, like, how come this isn't paying off my house? Like, this is a labor of love. If you, like, I can honestly say, if I never sold 1 copy, 1 audiobook for the rest of my life, I would still do it. And I think that's the reason why someone would have longevity with, like, as opposed to writing a book and then just kind of hanging it up.
Right.
Other than that, yeah, don't fall for the pitfalls of the scams. There's so many of them. You could probably just do a whole podcast about that. Yeah,
we did.
Don't pay anyone to publish your work. Yeah. Don't pay anyone to publish your work. Make friends with at least 1 male and 1 female narrator. I have 2 that I like. I mean, these people have become personal friends to me. Find someone who can make covers. There's so many artists, and they're like, they're out there. Don't cheap out on your cover. And I mean, this is a little self-serving, but hire yourself an editor. That's my side thing. That's where I probably make about 90% of my of the profits I make from this, because it's hard to sell books. You have to love it. It has to be something that you're pouring everything into. But if I had to give just one piece of advice, it's get yourself involved with the community of authors that is on Facebook and TikTok. When you're at your computer and you're writing, or you're trying to think of something, you can feel alone. It can feel hard. It can feel lonely. It can feel like there's, like you're not sure where to go. There are so many people, especially on, Facebook and stuff, who are just, they're so helpful. They've helped me. I mean, I've made friends who, like, these are people I'll probably talk to for the rest of my life. The community's there. The help is there. If you're not feeling up to it, if you're feeling like you're going to throw in the towel, there's people on there who you can talk to. It's borderline therapeutic, the community that is out there, and the people who are out there. And
oh, right. I mean, totally,
like,
because
my other page who.
Yeah, no, I was just saying. I mean, totally, because this this weekly thing that we do, it keeps me sane, keeps us going, because it is a very lonely, because we're pouring ourselves out into the world, and we don't always get feedback when we put our books out there. So when we share our journey with others, it's like, I'm not alone. So exactly totally.
Yeah, and just don't get yourself down. Like, I mean, you can have. Again, very cliche, but it's like, don't focus on the bad things, especially if you're querying to, like, agents and stuff. Like, I see people like, I've submitted 66 times. Like, what's wrong with my writing? It's like, no, there's nothing. That's not the problem.
Well, it could be.
It's like,
it could be.
Well, yeah, true. I like to think, for me, it's like, it's just not for me. But another very self-serving, yeah. But just don't let like, I think by nature, a lot of authors are very, stuck inside themselves a lot. I mean, you spend
All
a
right.
significant amount of time, because just more naturally than, a person who, you know, does something else for a living, sports or what
Oh,
have
totally.
you. It's very easy to be like, maybe this isn't for me. Um, and it's tough because if you feel that way, but you still love to write, there are people who you can come to in this community who you can talk to. You can come talk to me. I'm always on Facebook. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's just I'm kind of at the point now where I have my other page with all my actual friends and family, and I kind of just don't. I'm just on the author page all the time now, just because I have this like
Me too.
second existence now. It feels like, but yeah, I mean, there's so many people out there. The help is out there. The
Mm-hmm.
advice is out there. Avoid the pitfalls. If something seems like it's too good to be true, and I mean this is true with everything, it probably is.
Right.
It probably is.
It's so
And
true.
And although I mean,
you,
you did say this requires everything, and it's true. It does require a lot of effort and a lot. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We're here for the long haul.
yeah,
But
yeah,
for those of you that are listening, and don't let that scare you if you have the desire to try, because if you do have the desire to try,
yeah,
that's where we all started. Is we tried, we rolled the dice, and holy crap! A few months later, we had a book, and you can too, and then you can join
yeah.
us on this crazy train. So, so Bill, tell us where we can find you.
Mostly on Facebook. I'm on there, about 22 hours a day. You can
Like
find
a
me on
website?
TikTok, but I don't really know what I'm doing on there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a website?
And then, yeah, I don't. I'm currently in the process of doing that. It's just I haven't found time, and I'm just gonna make excuses. And, I'll do it later. I don't know.
Nah,
Get
it's
it.
all good.
I get it.
But no, I do have one. I do have plans to doing that because I, I am actually kind of at the point where with like the editing work that I've been accruing, I am gonna probably have to actually start like some kind of publishing company. Just so that's gonna require um some kind of site where I can, because
Well, that's
like I
awesome,
love to
man.
have like that. Yeah, it's just it's something that I just kind of fell into. It's like the author thing was like,
Mm-hmm.
kind of gradual, but yeah, but so you can find all my stuff like on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 of them that are up on Audible. I do have a free one on my YouTube page. Just search my name. It's called A Third of Infinity.
We'll
Um,
include that in the show notes. We'll find
Yeah.
it and we'll put it there. But man, I hate to cut this short, but we usually try to keep it sub 40 minutes, and we're way over. So,
yeah,
no offense, but hey,
I see
man,
how it is.
yeah. No, but at some point we'll invite you back to kind of see where you are, and when you have a release coming up, we'll invite you back. But man, I just want to say thank you so much
Yeah,
for spending your time with us, and do you have any last? Does anybody else have anything?
Thanks for being here.
Thank
Good
you.
to talk to you.
no. Jen, thank you so much for this. Yeah, it's been just an absolute pleasure being friends with you. You're super cool. Mr. Hanks and Mr. Jack, look forward to speaking with you guys more. Yeah, if you guys have me back, I'll get the headphone thing situated. Um,
So,
I hope this wasn't too much of a train wreck. This is my first
No,
podcast ever.
no. We enjoyed having you, and it's great. Don't worry about it.
it's awesome.
All right. Well, hey,
Cool.
everyone, thank you so much. Thank you so much for spending your time with us this evening. And if you're listening to us, wherever you're listening to us, be sure to hit that subscribe button and also engage with us. Send us questions at authorsdilemma@gmail.com, or you can come and see us live on Facebook, hopefully soon. Anyway, y'all take care. We'll see you next time. God bless. Take care.